when it comes to like how do you actually plan out a successful launch. And I guess the main advice that I've heard is like, this is not the first time you're going to launch. You're going to launch multiple times, right? There's like the first launch, whatever it is, like in the next 2 weeks. But like I'm sure I'm going to have other launches again and relaunch. And if that launch doesn't go well, you can launch again and stuff like that. That's kind of like the conventional advice. But in terms of like the nitty gritty, like do you just like whatever? Do you just go on product hunt and post it there and then call it a day? Like it's not as well kind of like communicated as kind of like how do you build an MVP or how do you get your first customers or whatever. And so maybe I can kind of shed a few lights on a few kind of thoughts on how we're thinking about this.
Absolutely.
But right now, so we, like I said, we had the opportunity to kind of like market in those two Facebook groups, the around 33,000 people that we could promote to. But we decided to wait until the app was ready for a few reasons. The reason number one is that you don't want. We noticed that like when we take people to a wait list, from the people who sign up, not most likely, but right now we're reaching like around an 80% open rate, right? So that means that if you sign up 100 people, or if 100 people sign up, actually only 80 of them will read your emails. Even though there was the intent to kind of like want to use your product, they, for whatever reason, they don't open your email. So you only end up with like 80% of that. And from that 80%, a few of them might even like unsubscribe, or they might like kind of like put you, or maybe from the 80%, how many of them actually kind of like click on the links or whatever? That's a percentage of that. And so essentially, like if you drive all of everybody towards like a funnel that's mainly email, that's going to be a problem, because your launch is going to be whatever amount you have. Assume that maybe 30 to 40, maybe at most half of those people will actually convert into signups. So there's that. And there are a few ways to counteract that. One way that I've seen work quite well is like by having a Discord group or a WhatsApp or whatever your users use, get them directly in that group. Because that means that then you're literally messaging them on Discord, on WhatsApp, and the odds of them actually, probably Discord has a bit more noise, but definitely messages like with like a WhatsApp group or Telegram group or something like that, you'll get a lot more people actually reading those messages, and hence like having a much higher like click-through rates to the installation process or whatever it might be. So I think that from that level, like we didn't want to drive too much kind of like or like we only have a few bullets that we can shoot, right? So we don't want to waste that bullet on getting them to a wait list, then sending them a second email, then hoping that they convert from that email, and that's going to take too much time, and probably a lot of people fall off. So we were thinking, okay, instead of doing that, let's just wait until the app is ready, and the first post that we make in those Facebook group is going to actually directly send them to the download page. So there is no kind of like, oh, you get lost anywhere. You click on the button, it immediately takes you to the app store, and then you download the app. And we're confident that we're going to drive a larger number of installations than if we send them to a waitlist first, and we try to nurture them through an email sequence and stuff like that. So there's that. The second thing that we're thinking about is the launch strategy, and more specifically, the growth in the first week or two. So, and not only the growth in the first week or two, but also the user experience. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that on day one, we're planning a phased approach. So on day one, we're actually going to onboard only a very small, a very small minority of like the people who are actually like interested in the app and stuff like that. What do I mean? Like call it like maybe 50 to 100 people. 50 to 100 people are actually going to be able to use the app on the first day. Why? Because a lot of things break on the first day, and you want to test out just your info to make sure that everything works well, and that you're not driving a bunch of consumers to your app and then like it breaks, they can't even sign up, whatever. That's a horrible first user experience. So first we do that, right? To make sure, just to kind of like hedge ourselves and de-risk the technical risk. Okay, let's assume that the technical stuff goes well and that we get our first 100 users, they're all happy, and nothing has broken. Great. Now, the next day, or whatever, X amount of time after, probably like a day or two afterwards, we're then going to start with whatever the smallest group is, whatever Facebook group that we have like acquired. So there's two of them. There's one with 25K, the other one with 8K. But let's say we get a third one with 4K. We're going to start with the small one, the 4K one, and we're going to post in that one. And the reason why we want to post on the 4K one before we post on 25K one is because we want the growth curve to look like this. We don't want the growth curve to look like this, right? We don't want a lot of users to sign up and then fewer and fewer users to sign up every single day. We want a small amount, and then more the hockey stick growth. But it's not just for like it's not just for the sake of like looking at a nice graph. It's because from a user perspective, you've downloaded the app on the first day. Maybe you saw that there were like whatever, a couple hundred profiles on there. Okay, that's fine, but nothing special. You kind of like swipe through all the profiles. You see people, maybe you messaging a few people, and then whatever, you put your phone down. The next day, we post the message, whatever. Maybe in that Facebook group we get like whatever 1,000 people that sign up, and then we can send a notification to you and say, hey, Avery, there are 1,000 new people who joined the group, the app today. Go check them out. And so you as a user are like seeing this app that only had 100 users yesterday. Now they have 1,000 users, and so you're like, oh wow, this app is really growing a lot. I should probably keep using it. And we're getting you to come back to the app on the second day. And the more often you get the user to come to build that habit of going to the app every single day, the more kind of like willing they're going to be able to build that kind of like a what do you call it, like a muscle memory almost, to go and check out the app on a regular basis, like a week or two from now. And so the point is that if you start off with that 4K group, maybe a couple hundred people join from that, you send that notification. The second day, the 8K group one, you post in that one. And now, whatever, you get an additional 500 or 1,000 or 2,000 people. And then the third day, you get to the 25K group, and then you post in that one, and maybe you get 2 or 3 or 4 or 5,000 people on it. So every single day, progressively, you've gotten the app to grow in its user base. Every single day, you're sending notifications to people saying, hey, there are X new, 100 new or X thousand new members to view, to kind of like communicate with or whatever. The user is continuously coming back to the app. The user is also continuously having a better and better experience because they have more and more profiles to look at. And so generally speaking, you're creating a very hyped and a very strong launch that is mainly like giving positive feedback loops essentially. And so that's kind of like how we're thinking about it, and hopefully that goes well. But yeah, that's kind of like the high level strategy of like how we're planning the first like week or two to go, and then after that, we're hoping to kind of like implement some viral mechanics, and not only viral mechanics but also shipping. Like if like there are some few features that we're actively postponing, so that not only is the user coming back to new users, new people on the app, but they're also coming to new features. And so we've built certain features right now that we're not going to launch, even though they're technically ready for launch. We won't launch until like a week after, just to kind of be like, oh wow, they shipped a new feature already. Oh wow, there are 100 new users already. Oh wow, this and that. And I'm coming back to the app every single day. There's always a reason for me to come back. And so that way you really build a certain sense of like growth and community and like positive feelings that I think can kind of like create that initial momentum that you need to kind of grow the app and get a large customer base.